philosophical chair. I'll probably change my statement before next block because I learned from this, like you will, okay? So once you've got your students in place, then you let them speak. They can only say a statement, and then they can't speak again until 3 more people speak. Why do you think that's a rule?
So everyone gets involved.
Well, and then don't you have that one kid that just wants to be heard, whether what comes out of his or her mouth is stupid or not? Okay, or if you're an undecided and somebody says something to you that makes you change your mind, just for giggles, Coach Haley, pretend like you are undecided on this, okay? So once an undecided person hears something that they like, that makes them change their mind and go one way or the other, they have to be the next one to speak. Why do you think we do that?
No one commits to that.
Yeah, you want to know the real reason? Because they're social butterflies, and if Jamie moves over here, then Susie was standing with her, she's gonna move too. So if you move, you've got to say something. If you choose not to participate, you have an essay that you're working on at your table about the topic. Okay? All right, so I'll start. In the last election for House of Representatives and Senator for our district, 27% of teachers voted, even though they got a day off and got to wear jeans if they voted. And I feel like we're going to have to do something to get the public out to care and vote.
Okay, I'll counter that. Teachers are important, but we also have other people in the community who don't get a day off to vote. There's no incentive for them. They have to work the job because they're getting an hourly wage and they can't take the time off. There's also lines sometimes at the precinct, so they could go during lunch, but if they can't get through, they miss their lunch, which they may need, and they won't be able to vote either.
And I would counter, okay, I'm pretending like I
Yeah,
got some
okay.
buddies up here, because really I can't talk for how many more times? 3.
More.
Okay, and I would counter that by saying, those are the main people that sit around and gripe and complain about the way things are, but yet they're not willing to go out and take 15 or 30 minutes to vote.
I don't think that forcing people to vote is going to make them know anything about the candidates. I think if you force people to vote, they're just going to choose the first person on the list at random or not really know anything about it.
I think that's the thing.
Well,
Does it have to bounce back and forth?
no, because it should, if I've got a bunch of people up here helping me, but I agree with what he said, so I'm sitting there trying to make up something.
I was gonna say, I think you're right, because people are uneducated, they'll just pick the first one, not necessarily maybe the best candidate. I think they get so caught up in all the commercials and things like that, people just tune it out and don't really dive in and figure out who the best person is.
I agree that we have a problem, but I don't think that the solution is finding people if they don't vote. I think the solution is more an obligation for us to become informed and for it to become cool again for us to be informed. And I personally have a problem with all the billboards we have up that say things like, just stupid things like, don't walk on the street at night, or, I mean, you see them all the time, and those types of things can be earmarked into our legislation. Or like my dad, he works for the Corps of Engineers, and it's earmarked into our legislation that he has to go count the eggs in bluebird boxes to see how many bluebirds are laying. I mean, that seems like a waste of our resources. Why couldn't we use our resources in a way that would inform people and encourage them to vote? You know what I mean?
I'm going to freeze you for a minute. In your class, as long as someone participates, they're okay for the day. But you need to have let them know that up front. If not, they're gonna have to do the essay anyway. So you need to let them know that, okay? Okay, let me think of something to counter with.
Can you move it anytime?
You can move.
Okay, I'm gonna move it out the speaker, right? I'm just gonna.
You're
move it.
moving into undecided?
Yeah, I'm just gonna move.
Sal, come on up, look at me over here.
I'm just gonna.
You
move it.
help me.
I'm just
Thank
gonna play
you.
devil's advocate, is what I'm saying, 'cause we
Okay,
got-
well now you move, so you gotta speak.
I will, if we find them, think about where the other resources the money can go, as far as we are teachers and 27% voted, but the money come back to education. Since we're a dying age when it comes to funding.
It's not.
It's been 3 people, so I'm gonna.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
She's been over there like,
Again, going back to my point that it's not just teachers, it's like a broader section of the population that are hourly workers. They may not get an hour lunch, they may only get half an hour, they can't afford the fines. So maybe another option would be to make it a national holiday where, you know, most workers do get off, like we have other days like Martin Luther King Jr. Day, Veterans Day, Memorial Day, Labor Day. Make it into a sale. You know, have stores open. I don't know what another option could be. But again, you're going to probably be finding people who can't afford the fine.
Is that not an incentive though, too? And also, you know, what else is gonna tell you to go and do something if there's not an incentive to it? So therefore,
Incentive would be that you get like a coupon to go vote.
You're gonna get a coupon to go back.
Yeah, that fines and punishment.
are you still undecided?
I'm looking at a basket right here.
Because if you're undecided, you can't speak.
What?
You have to choose a
You
side.
know what, I do what I want.
But wouldn't that get them to go and do it though? Because what else is gonna, I mean, everything else is not working. You know what I mean? So you've got to put something in there to force them to go and do it. So therefore, you give that push, all right? Maybe then they would listen, all right, to those debates. Maybe they would, all right, get involved because they've got to go and do it. So they might as well figure out, all right, and make the best decision. Since if it comes for a force, we'll go and do it then.
It's freedom of speech, not freedom to be silent. And if you don't agree with the candidates, then why not stay at home and be silent?
This is getting good.
I love it.
I agree with most of all that share my big view, and my fellow neighbor has mentioned what I think is really key in this, and that's the freedom of speech. We have the freedom, based on our Constitution, to say yes, we vote for this candidate, or by our absence, not participate. Now, I agree that it's, to me, a logical citizen responsibility to speak up and to participate in that. But if we start eroding little bits and pieces of our Constitution, what country will we live in?
Australia. I'm going to say, I'm going to step out of my agree spot for a minute and say, let me tell you that as the teacher in the room, you cannot speak. You've got to let them take this and go, okay? Also, I'm surprised Miss Johnson she's sitting over there. She's so mad she's fanning herself. I'm surprised she hasn't said this because other people have said this before. What about a student that might be in Mr. Crowder's class? In Australia, that student is fined once they turn 18 and become an adult if they don't go vote. Now, you know, there's some people that can't make an educated decision. One of y'all said that. So, as a teacher, if you're going to get a good hot topic going, you might want to plant some seeds first before the kid comes into class. You know? To get it going good. All right, y'all come back and have a seat for
I
me.
did have a question.
Okay,
As
look,
far
she
as-
wants to bust about it.
No. As far as the teacher's role is concerned, we don't participate in the discussion, but if the student is like butting in before the.
But you have to be the
that's
rules,
where- okay.
yes. And do you see how a little bit of instruction beforehand on a topic is gonna be good? Otherwise, they're not gonna, know what they're talking about. Now, what do we always do when I teach you an AVID strategy? The first one we do is fun. So think right now, just blurt out. What could you do in your classroom to teach them the philosophical chair process that's a fun topic, that's gonna get them going,
What do you like on their pizza?
okay?
School food.
Okay,
You can talk about college sports teams.
okay.
IDs.
I think that's gonna be one-sided like mine was. Maybe we should talk about, I don't know, y'all keep saying.
Recess or nap time.
Okay,
Yes, yes. That's
okay,
gonna be one-sided, I think.
yeah.
Block
Or-
scheduling year round.
What?
Block scheduling year round.
Yeah, oh, good one, good one. All right, so you got the idea? Now I'm gonna challenge you. In your content, what topic? Give me a statement that you could use. Remember, you can't ask a question, you gotta give a statement. In your content, give me a statement that you might use right now. And Kelly, I'm gonna ask that you go over and take some notes. You probably are gonna wanna use a pen rather than that big black thing. Here's, you got one? Okay. So give Kelly some ideas, and I'll send these out at the end of the day. But give her some ideas of a statement you might could use in your content. And you don't have to write the whole statement, Kelly, just get the gist of it.
I did something kind of similar in my science class last semester. We didn't actually do the whole process, we kind of did it on climate change. So I guess my statement would say, climate change is the biggest issue we'll face in the next 100 years.
Okay?
We did one on nuclear chemistry, and our statement was the United States should invest more money in nuclear power.
Okay?
That was.
How did it go?
It was pretty intense because it was right after Korea had just tested their hydrogen bomb, so the students had a lot of opinions on it.
You know what I love in middle school, because that's all I have to go by, that's all I've seen in philosophical chairs so far. I loved it in middle school when 8th graders were walking out the door arguing their point when the bell rang. I love that. They're arguing about content. Okay, what else?
I did one last semester on the California drought and whether or not, I wrote the drought in California will have no lasting impact on the rest of the country.
Okay,
That's science too.
Social studies.
y'all help math teachers
Or
out. Can you
science.
think of one for math?
Well, one I thought about was, like, you could put up a problem and work it out, and you could say this problem is solved correctly, true or false. And then they debate, well, here's the error. Well, no, that's not an error. It should be done this way.
Okay. All right, so let's look at the rules for philosophical chair. I've gone through A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, O, and then I. A critical part of philosophical chair, well, a critical part to any lesson is your closure. So be sure you give the students time to go back and write a 2 to 3 sentence or paragraph about the topic, the statement, something they heard, just to process it, okay? You with me? Now here's what I want you to do, we're almost done. I want you to fold your paper where, between the blank space between number 3 and 4 and rip it, because you're gonna take the top part with you, you're gonna leave me the bottom part. All right, you ready for your instructions? I cannot tell you how many times, and I got a lot of bad habits, y'all, a lot of faults, if I tell lies. If I tell you something, you take it to the bank. I cannot tell you how many times our admin team has gone back and referred to stop, start, and continue. Because you spoke what you felt, and we need to listen and make changes. And we're not gonna stop. So what I'm asking you to do before you leave is look at 3 responses from the START poster and